Right, so imagine this. You're strolling through Sydney CBD, Christmas shopping bags in hand, festive cheer in the air, and then you see it. A person, wrapped in blankets, lying on the cold pavement, directly beneath a massive, glossy advertisement, screaming, "Joy Unwrapped," in bold, cheerful letters. The irony is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. This isn't some dystopian film set. This is Australia in 2024, under Anthony Albanese's watch. And one leaked photograph has just blown the lid off the homelessness crisis that Canberra would rather you ignore. Welcome to Australian Political Insights, where we uncover the stories they don't want you to see. Quick favor, if you're finding this eye-opening, smash that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers haven't yet. It's completely free, takes literally 2 seconds, and helps us keep exposing these uncomfortable truths. Cheers if you did. Right. Back to the scandal. So let's talk about this photograph, shall we? It's gone viral. And for good reason. Taken on Pitt Street at the Lotte Duty free shop. It shows a homeless individual huddled under blankets, trying to survive another night on Sydney's streets. But here's the kicker. Right above them, in gleaming corporate glory, is an advertisement for luxury shopping with a tagline, "Joy Unwrapped." You literally could not script a more devastating commentary on modern Australia if you tried. It's the kind of image that should haunt every politician who's ever stood at a podium and promised to help everyday Australians. And believe me, Anthony Albanese has made plenty of those promises. Now, Chris Vagg, founder of the charity Pass It On Clothing, saw this image and did what any decent human being would do. He got angry. Properly angry. Not the polite parliamentary kind of angry where you furrow your brow and express deep concern. No, the real raw kind of anger that comes from watching people suffer while those in power sip lattes and debate semantics. Vagg looked at that photo and asked the question we're all thinking. At what point does someone with actual power stand up and say enough is enough? Here's the uncomfortable truth that Albanese and his government would rather sweep under the rug. Homelessness in Australia isn't just persisting under their watch. It's exploding. And whilst they're busy patting themselves on the back for various initiatives and announcements, real people are sleeping rough under billboards advertising luxury goods they'll never afford. The symbolism is so painful, it's almost artistic. Almost. Except it's not art, it's someone's lived reality. But wait, it gets worse. And trust me, it always gets worse when we start digging into the numbers. Under the Albanese government's term, approximately 205,000 households have been driven into what's officially termed electricity hardship. Let that sink in for a moment. 205,000 Australian households cannot afford to keep their lights on, their homes heated, their refrigerators running. These aren't statistics from some developing nation. This is modern Australia, one of the wealthiest countries on earth, where minerals get exported by the ton whilst families choose between electricity and eating properly. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The cost of living crisis isn't some abstract economic concept that only affects spreadsheets and treasury reports. It's millions of Australians, right now, struggling to make ends meet. Grocery bills that make you weep. Rent increases that feel like daylight robbery. Energy costs that force families to ration heating in winter. And whilst all this is happening, what's the government's response? Announcements, reviews, committees, consultations, more announcements. It's like watching someone rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic whilst insisting everything's absolutely fine. Chris Vagg didn't mince words when he spoke to Sky News about this situation. He pointed out something brutally simple. There are empty buildings, government-leased properties sitting vacant, whilst people sleep on pavements. The maths isn't complicated, people. Person without shelter plus empty building equals obvious solution. But apparently, in the complex world of Australian politics, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals another inquiry, another report, another round of hand-wringing without action. Here's what Vagg said that should make every politician squirm. It just appears that, because those with the power and influence to change things get to go home at night, they don't give a rat's backside. And you know what? He's absolutely right. When you've got a comfortable bed waiting for you, a roof over your head, heating when it's cold, it's remarkably easy to view homelessness as someone else's problem, a social issue to be managed, rather than a human crisis demanding immediate action. Let's talk about priorities for a moment, shall we? Because this photograph under the Joy Unwrapped slogan forces us to ask some uncomfortable questions. What are we prioritizing as a society? Luxury shopping experiences or basic human dignity? Corporate advertising or actual welfare? Photo opportunities or genuine policy change? The Albanese government talks a good game about caring for ordinary Australians. They've got the rhetoric down perfectly. Compassionate statements, concerned expressions, all the right words in all the right order. But when you look at that photograph, when you see a human being sleeping rough under an advertisement for joy, the disconnect between words and reality becomes impossible to ignore. Now, homelessness isn't new. Vag acknowledged this himself. But here's what's changed. It's becoming more prevalent, more visible, more impossible to pretend it's not happening. Walk through any major Australian city and you'll see it. People sleeping in doorways, makeshift camps under bridges, individuals who've fallen through every safety net that's supposed to exist in a functioning welfare state. And each person represents a failure, a systemic breakdown, a politician who promised to help and then didn't. The energy hardship statistics deserve special attention because they reveal something crucial about how this government operates. When 205,000 households are pushed into electricity hardship under your watch, that's not bad luck. That's not an unavoidable consequence of global economic forces. That's policy failure. That's choosing to prioritize certain things over the basic needs of your citizens. And before anyone jumps in with, "But it's complicated," let me stop you right there. Yes, economics is complex. Yes, global factors play a role. But you know what's not complicated? People needing electricity to live. That bit's actually quite simple. Here's where the Albanese government's rhetoric collides spectacularly with reality. They talk about building a fairer Australia, about looking after working families,